Tiffany Henyard is to be considered one of the worst mayors of America to ever exist, and she's been abiding by this for quite a while. Mayor Tiffany has been accused of misusing taxpayer money, and there is a ton of evidence to prove that. We're going to dig into some hot tea, so stay tuned.
Residents of Dalton deserve nothing less than a government that is fully accountable, responsive, transparent, and effective stewards of your precious tax dollars.
Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was hired by the village board to investigate Henyard's handling of finances, revealed early warnings that the village is not only deeply in debt, but those credit cards are out of control too. Lightfoot stated that in April 2022, Dalton's general fund balance was $5.61 million. By May 2024, the balance had dropped to a deficit of $3.65 million. Lightfoot also disclosed that Henyard used the village credit card to make purchases at Amazon, Target, Walgreens, Wayfair, and other retailers. Allegedly, Tiffany has used part of the loot to renovate her luxury home. Tiffany is also accused of signing a check worth $561,000 to repave her mother's driveway, with, of course, tax money. The recent update is that the self-proclaimed super mayor is on a disappearing act after the FBI knocked on her door with a list of all her acts of corruption. They demanded the personnel and disciplinary files for 29 Dalton employees, as well as any contracts or payments made to Henyard's top assistant, Keith Freeman, who also serves in that role in Thornton Township. Tiffany Henyard was elected back in 2021 as the youngest and first woman mayor of Dalton, and then also became the supervisor of Thornton Township in 2022 after longtime supervisor Frank Zuccarelli died. She was welcomed with high hopes and expectations.
The villages, do you think, are opposed to this?
The majority of them?
All of them.
All of them?
All the ones that signed.
But with her corruptive and irresponsible side, she might have curated the downfall of her journey. Her name has been in the headlines for a long time, but for controversial reasons only. Tiffany has been misusing taxpayer money for her gain for far too long, from jet-setting around and securing herself a little army of personal security guards to even paying her hairstylist. Her expenditures include a 5-day trip to Austin in July 2023. In attendance were Henyard, her top aide Keith Freeman, and 3 township officials. In all, the group spent more than $20,000 of Dalton taxpayer money in Texas. Charges include $11,609 at the high-end Fairmont Austin Hotel, $389 at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, $503 for sports riding apparel, and $413 at a local Walgreens. Officials have not said why they traveled other than to attend conferences. Trustee Jason House reveals that she's been splurging on luxury vacations with village staff, leaving the village drowning in a massive multi-million-dollar debt.
We're not going to be homeless behind her raising our taxes.
And you said that you have good business skills, then you should take a look at the budget again.
You are a public servant. You serve us.
Jason felt the need and announced his candidacy for the upcoming selection of Dalton's mayor in 2025.
Today, I'm here to proudly announce my candidacy for mayor of Dalton in February of 2025.
Because the current mayor's presence has only made problems get deeper, the unresolved licensing issues have made many businesses shut down, including Lawrence Gardner's trucking company. It has been sitting idle since January of 2023, when the village accused him of selling liquor without a license during a party that was being hosted there. He denies the allegation, with a judge ruling in his favor, and has other ideas about why the action may have been taken. Gardner said he is among several business owners who, shortly after Henyard took office, complied with her request for a $3,500 donation to the village. While the FBI won't confirm that they are investigating the mayor, Gardner said he's been talking to them for months. Doing business has made many people drift away from Tiffany's policies. Other than this, the people around have also raised their voices against Tiffany's attitude. Kiana Belcher, another Dalton trustee, claimed, "There's a lot of mismanagement of funds, and we just want some clarity so we can move forward and understand what's going on with all the spending." The Legislative Counsel for the Dalton Board of Trustees, Bert Oldelson, said, "It's a deadly sin that you could have lost 6 of your police cars. And when you lose police cars, you lose police officers too." But she chose to keep her payments on her security detail. Tiffany's statement.
The narrative, because it is not the truth. It's only one-sided, and it's a shame that the media comes out and they only show negative things.
Several dozen residents of Thornton Township also gathered at a rally demanding Henyard's resignation and a full investigation into her spending in the township. Participants called it the Take Our Township Back PAC rally. Residents said they're fed up with the lack of transparency, accountability, and information about how their tax dollars are being spent. Additionally, to save every penny for her only, Tiffany has removed all the other city members from being able to sign spending except for herself. That's some clever stuff. Tiffany is very good at enraging people thanks to her unhinged attitude. She has denied most of the allegations put on her, claiming she has receipts to prove facts, and the ones that she has accepted were because there was no other mat left to sweep it under. It looks like the word accountability doesn't exist in Tiffany's dictionary. There are variations in the allegations slammed on her now and then, but what stays constant is her unbothered and irresponsible attitude. Each allegation puts Tiffany's reputation in a new light. In March 2024, Tiffany was accused of using $67,000 of tax money to travel for months. In response to this, the Dalton board called for a probe into Tiffany, demanding the financial records of the village and also making the FBI get involved to make things clear up. In reaction, Tiffany, rather than accepting the truth, stated that the Boys Club, aka the Dalton board, doesn't want her to rise and is causing a hindrance in her way. She also issued a veto claiming that this was due to a personal attack against her, and it was a whole one-sided narrative. At the village board meeting, Tiffany said, "As you can see, our village, our community, myself, we are under attack. It's a shame that people can come to the meeting and just tell one side of the story and not get the entire side of both stories." She further admitted the $2 million deficit of the village hall. The fellow members of the board village later revealed that the deficit was millions more as compared to what Henyard stated. During this board interaction, a former trustee, Edward Steve, said that the mayor can blame everyone for what's going on, but she has to look at herself. Tiffany is also accused of using her power to silence the critics. She allegedly targets people who voice their opinions, and if they're against her, she takes action. One of the victims of this was former village trustee Valeria Stubbs, who, in return for publicly criticizing Tiffany, got 2 vehicles of her tenants shot by the hitmen sent by Tiffany. Stubbs also alleged that Henyard has made allies with the police department purposefully, so that any complaint against Tiffany gets nothing but ignored. This gets more heated when Henyard's own former assistant spoke up against her self-serving attitude. The assistant stated that she was harassed by a trustee on Henyard's board, and when she told Tiffany about the situation, she responded by saying that this couldn't go out because if it did, she'd be ruined. The former assistant did place a complaint against that trustee, and despite the mayor's lip service that helped her with this, the assistant ended up having an uninformed, unpaid medical leave until she was terminated.
And everybody said no, or they had something else to do, but Andrew. Miles did say that if he's done doing whatever he was doing, he'll catch up with us. Okay, so fine, but I at least knew I got a man with me, I'm gonna make it home. I ain't even gotta worry about try to go on the strip by myself.
A similar situation happened with Tiffany's former maintenance manager, Dwayne Thrash, which made him file a lawsuit against the mayor alleging that he was terminated while on vacation after he refused to cooperate in a scheme where Tiffany and her assistant were planning to fire an attorney and replace them with a firm preferred by the mayor's assistant, per Washington Examiner. Due to the same impatient attitude, her board meetings might turn messy too. Just as one time the residents who packed into the Park District room for the meeting were furious and rallied loudly against their mayor. A special meeting of the Thornton Township trustees Wednesday night was called off, but that didn't stop the supervisor and Dalton Mayor, Tiffany Henyard, from addressing the public. In absence of the township's 5 sitting trustees, Henyard's attempt at a special meeting was more like a soliloquy. "I am about to address some things. There will be no comment, no anything. Just me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on," she said. "If you want to leave, you can leave. This is me making my statement. You don't want to hear it? There's the door."
About 100 residents showed up at the meeting tonight, but only 42 residents were allowed inside. They had to walk through metal detectors and they were wanded.
Tiffany Henyard's nonchalant attitude has reached a new angle, with her now using board meetings as a platform for self-expression through her bizarre fashion choices. In one notable instance, she showed up to a meeting wearing a costume dress inspired by Nino Brown, a character from the movie New Jack City. This unserious attitude of hers has made the public question her seriousness about the mayorship. On this, the board trustee, Kiana Belcher, also commented saying, "People look at politics like a joke. It's like a mockery right now because of all this stuff. She comes to board meetings dressed like Nino Brown." But this is not the end. During a recent hearing, trustee Carmen publicly denounced Henyard, asserting that she has engaged in unethical and predatory behavior throughout her tenure as Thornton Township Supervisor and Mayor of Dalton. In a statement emailed to WGN, trustee Carmen alleged that, over the past 2 years, Henyard has abused her power by manipulating including residents, employees, and vendors, to expand her influence. Furthermore, Carmen accused Henyard of projecting a false image of success, funded at the expense of the taxpayers of Thornton Township and the village of Dalton. At a recent board meeting, Carmen acknowledged that she rarely raised questions about the lavish trips and other spending charges to township taxpayers. Carmen and other township trustees then voted to put new restrictions on spending for special events and access to credit cards. However, this is not where all the mishaps regarding Tiffany started. It goes a long way back. The initiation was August 2019, when CBS 2 Chicago revealed that a property Tiffany owned and was collecting Section 8 housing subsidies for had some seriously nasty issues, from severe mold to water leakage. Jacqueline Smith says she's dealing with mold issues as a result of unrepaired leaks in her Dalton rental home. She says mold also grew on her daughter's shoes and is all over the side of the house, which is owned by Tiffany Henyard. By November 2019, things got so bad in that house that the place was declared uninhabitable and the tenant had to pack up and leave. But Tiffany, being Tiffany, still allegedly kept cashing those Section 8 checks like nothing happened. The tenant called her out for not lifting a finger to fix the mold problem, and once the media got wind of it, people started digging into the sketchy inspection of her property.
Started over here in the corner, and that's where it started, and then it just spread it.
Jacqueline Smith says she's battling mold in many places, a result of unrepaired leaks in her Dalton rental home.
It leaks in the corner where the roof, the ceiling is damaged, and then it leaks going into my kitchen, and the window sill leaks in my daughter's room. Frustrating, irritating. I just don't feel that I should be living like that.
Then after the world dealt with this, Tiffany opted for the mayorship in October 2020. She highly criticized Mayor Riley Rogers and his time in office, and after a short while, Tiffany knocked out Rogers in a four-way primary to win the Democratic nomination, and by April, and surprisingly, she won the elections by winning 82% of the vote against the candidate, Ronnie Burge. Most of the public viewed Tiffany in the light of the first Black American woman as a mayor.
I can't help but to pause and appreciate the historic significance of this appointment. I take great pride in being an African American woman.
Hence, the support was given. However, Tiffany made sure to use this in her defense every time, until she couldn't do it anymore because people got to know about who she is rather than what she portrays. You should all be ashamed of yourselves because you are all Black. You all are Black. And you all sitting up here beating and attacking a Black woman that's in power. Henyard yelled at trustees during a February meeting. You all should be ashamed of yourselves. Over the past year, Tiffany has been clashing big time with most of the village's board of trustees, and it's quite chaotic. Two of her trustees, Kiana Belcher and Jason House, along with village clerk Allison Key, made it to the office. But not after long, their friendship started having some issues, leading to these two teaming up with the village board, emphasizing on taking legal action against Tiffany. The only period of time where Tiffany's chosen team was at peace with each other was 6 months. Her trustees revealed that she has been misusing municipal funds. This is where the tea got spilled, and when the public started questioning their vote. Fast forward to April 2022, the village board themselves sued Tiffany with the allegation of having some sort of corruption in dealing with tax dollars. Even to this, Tiffany played the role of victim, stating that this is all coming from the trustees. Along with playing this role, she even locked out those trustees from their own offices, which included spreading their exclusive documents among the common area and invading their lives, causing nothing but hindrance. The board meetings involving Tiffany slowly turned into a fight every time, as Tiffany did not admit any of the accusations despite evidence given.
I wouldn't trust this woman if she stood on a stack of Bibles and had her tongue notarized. Not a damn thing she says comes out her mouth is true.
I am devastated that this woman came into our town and spent all of our tax money, one resident told Fox 32. We have senior citizens that can't afford basic necessities. I suspected it all along. This administration is shameful, declared one resident during a public comment section of the meeting. We are all waiting for the fall of this administration, shouted another. The continuous hit of allegations upon her without any support whatsoever made her go hide away from the public's eye. Though people liked Tiffany at the very beginning, but she didn't let those hopes stand for long and shattered them within months. Though she's nowhere to be found, people still want accountability from her and strict action from the police against her. People really want her to be jailed right away because they feel attacked and used. The amount of tax dollars she's been exploiting for her personal leverages without thinking about her people is insane. What do you all think? What would your response be to this? Initially, Tiffany was never meant to be the supervisor of Thornton Township. The deadline of 60 days for the trustees to choose a new supervisor supervisor after Frank's death seemed to be less for them, which made the situation very chaotic at the end. The 9th candidate for this position, Tiffany Henyard, was elected as the supervisor of Thornton Township. At the time of her election, no one in the room would have thought that the supervisor would be Tiffany Henyard because it kind of only depended on the trustees and not on the votes. Tiffany Henyard did not expect that, including the people in the room. Tiffany, in one of her very first board meetings, said that, "I pledge to the residents of Thornton Township, the elected officials, the board of trustees, and the entire staff that we will work hard and have an honest and responsible fiscal year. And I also pledge to remember that I am a public servant. I will always keep the people first. I was known as the people's trustee, now I am the people's mayor, and even now I am the people's supervisor. So thank you again." Henyard couldn't stay on her word firmly till the second meeting and started showing the vibrant colors she usually beholds. She fired 2 people, in which one was in the Human Resources Department and one was the former executive assistant to Frank Zuccarelli. The firing wasn't based on anything particular. It seemed that the communication between them wasn't clear enough, which led to maybe trigger Tiffany. Also, the previous administration had gone to this place called the Eaglewood Resort and Spa, which had some expensive bills. When the trustees brought that up, Tiffany Henyard spoke against that, stating, "I'm totally for a retreat, but I'm not for using taxpayer dollars to do personal things such as spas. Some members here use the money to do spas for their employees. We did not know anything about anyone using taxpayer dollars for spas. That's a big no-no, a big red flag, and that will not be condoned under my watch as your supervisor. This could have been respected if only she herself would have kept her word. She denied the usage of tax money on spas, but allowed herself to spend on renovating her massive house, plus her mother's too. The hypocrisy here is quite commendable. Now the time has come where the public is desperately wanting to see Tiffany being held accountable. She might come back with some powerful facts this time, or maybe will finally surrender and accept her sins. By the looks of it, for now, she's on the constant run, making it harder for herself and others too. But the run might not last for long, as the whole world now knows about what Tiffany and her tenure was all about. That's all for today. If you liked that video, please like, subscribe, and tune in for more videos just like this.